Mostly Florida and Southern California, but I moved here in 1978 when I was only 13, so kind of lived most of my life here in Colorado, but before that I was a coastal kid. My stepfather worked for Martin Marietta back in the 70s and 80s and brought home a TRS-80 computer. He was going to work on a side project with a friend, and he never touched the computer, but the only desk available was in my bedroom, so it was right there, and I started playing with it, and it didn't take long before I was like, this is what I want to do. It found me. I didn't decide at some point, I want to be a software guy, I want to be a programmer. It just it was there. I played with it and went, oh my God. And I ended up taking the first computer courses they offered at my high school as a senior. And yeah, by the end of that, a few months in, I just knew that this is what I wanted to do with my life. That's really hard in terms of started out at different stages in the industry. There are things I wish I had, when I saw the internet, and I didn't even get a PC for about 4 or 5 years when people started getting them, because I was like, I worked on mainframes. I was like, this is my career and this will keep going. So, that's a fad. I kind of just like, that's for kids to play with at home. So I definitely wish that I had been more prescient, whatever, is that the word? That seen ahead that, boy, everything was going to go here. I don't know, in terms of what I wish I think that what I wish I knew when I started out is not in the technical area as much, but in the organizational area, knowing that there was a lot more to a career than just doing the actual work. I didn't want to do what I've always done, going to work for larger organizations. It's kind of the same thing over and over again. And in the beginning, it's new and you learn, and then you fall right into, I think, the same traps. In terms of success, I feel like the only thing limiting oneself is oneself, what one thinks one can do and what one goes for, and continuing to go work for somebody else wasn't going to be any more success than I had ever achieved, just marginally more over time. I can work my butt off and the stock of the owner is going to go up a quarter point. What's in it for me? I'm working my butt off nights and weekends. So I'd rather work nights and weekends for me. Most of what I've worked on actually hasn't been assigned work. It's been stuff that I saw that I wanted to do that I thought would help me in my development, and I could tell would help other people. I've done that in several places, some that were revolutionary. When you start out in assembler and stuff, you kind of see things differently when you take compiler classes and things like that. So you have ways of doing things that other people just don't even see or think of. From a very objective point of view, I think there was a project I worked on many years ago that I came up with an idea that I thought would save people a lot of time. My boss had me demo it to the higher ups at the company, and they looked at each other and said, we can do that thing we wanted to do. And they came back and explained to me this plan that they had, and I did the whole thing from top to bottom, working with everybody in the company, from the marketing department down to the guys on the loading dock that actually loaded tapes from our computers into boxes to ship off to people, printing the shipping invoices automatically with the tape. And I worked with everybody in the company, and that turned into a product that had been a loss leader that they would just include for their clients into a huge cash cow product. And they actually could have one person on a phone taking orders and putting this stuff in and generating the output coming out the back door. They made many millions off this, and it was a product that they just couldn't have done until I did something technically that said, this is possible. And they went, oh, this is possible. I created a product for a company that they made many, many millions off of. And I got a plaque. To be honest, I would say my mouth has been my biggest mistake. My expressing myself, and almost always kind of coming at things in most organizations from an outsider point of view of like, well, if this is the way you've always done it, it's probably wrong, because you haven't looked at it much. So I kind of always came into organizations and kind of tore things up and turned them into a whole different thing, and that upsets a lot of people. I could have been smoother about that process. The people factor, I think, has been my biggest mistake, is not acknowledging, not realizing how important that could be. Don't get married. Choose where to put your effort and your time career-wise wisely. Make sure you get your rewards for your effort. I spent a lot of time working nights and weekends. I worked almost every day of the year, most years, when working for somebody else on a salary. And it wasn't on projects that I was assigned. It was just on stuff that I wanted to do that I thought, and it did make things better, but the recognition isn't always there for that kind of stuff. And I'm not saying you shouldn't do it, but figure out how to get recognized for it, because you're doing something that other people haven't done yet. Look out for yourself. It's been a very important thing. One of those people that likes a lot of external validation, to use a cliche. I want to hear people say that I've done good. I don't want people to tell me I'm good or I'm smart. I just want them to say what I did was really good. I get a huge amount of pleasure out of seeing software get better, get smaller and sharper and less ugly to look at and less error prone when I can see what it's doing. And there is a lot of satisfaction just from that. That's what drove me to work those nights and weekends. It wasn't to get somebody's thanks, because like I said, it's not that recognized usually. You get it from a few colleagues and that's about it. But it's just knowing that it's better. And it's better, and it's better, and it's better, and it's better. Sort of the same satisfaction you get out of maybe modeling your house. Every little move you make, and you look at and go, that's nicer than it was before. I'm curious about my future. I'm curious about our future. Every day, every meeting with a new client makes little parts in my brain go, ooh, this is getting bigger and bigger. More and more exciting. That unknown that's coming, that's the only exciting stuff there is the unknown. My time zone thing is one. It's a small thing, but I think we shouldn't have time zones. It's just a concept, and it just screws things up, and it's an amazing cost to our society technologically is to have these time zones, because it causes so much complication of coordinating things. We live in a global world, and yet we have to sit here and think about everybody's in their own little slice of a couple hours, and just like, no, we should just abolish time zones and everybody just gets used to the same time. And people say looks don't matter. That's another one. But that's more of cliche. People look at things shallowly, and I would say somebody has to look good to you. They have to be attractive to you, and that does matter. You can't be with somebody you're not attracted to, so looks do matter. President. I'd like to be a politician. If you just back up and look at it, right, it's just a giant system. The legislation that we do and how that affects behaviors and economics and the outcome for everybody. And so I feel like that there's a lot of solutions out there that we haven't hit on that are just, using some creativity and some smarts, we could save a lot of money, or we could save a lot of pain for people, or that kind of thing. And I feel like it's ripe, that there's all kinds of places where the system could be cleaned up and made more efficient and made better. To move in time. And that kind of covers everything. I can relive history. I could speak with historical figures. I could go back in time and change my life now. And then when the alarm goes off, that's the key, is it's midnight again. Sleep some more. I like to cook. I never try stuff where I have to buy something that this is the only thing I'll be able to use it in. So kind of not fancy stuff, but I just like to be self-sufficient in the kitchen. Like I just made some strawberry ice cream the other night. Oh my God, it's so good. I love being able to make my own stuff instead of buying it.